But after an embarrassing first round exit from the MLS Cup playoffs on the back of a very poor slide to end the regular season, Luciano Acosta made it very, very public that this could be and probably will be his last game in an FC Cincinnati shirt. At 30 years old, the former MLS MVP is putting up MVP like numbers for the past few seasons now, and he's on designated player status for one more season with a club option for 2027. It's clear he wants out, and FCC either needs to keep him for 1 year, pick up his option for a second year, or lose him for nothing by declining his option. Or they might buy him out altogether. There are a whole bunch of different options, but there are a ton of different pathways for this to end. And I want to start all the way at the beginning. I don't want to start at how this is going to end. I want to start first is if he leaves tomorrow, what would his legacy be at FCC? Let's look back on his time in Cincinnati.
You you can only really describe it in one way, right? Like you would be
Mid.
insane to say that this was anything but what? What? Are you going to say something rude? Go ahead.
No, you
Go
said you
say
said
it.
you can you said you can
Fans
only
listening.
describe it one way, and I said mid.
Oh, so you were rude. So I was right. No, I mean he was the catalyst behind taking this team out of the cellar, right? He comes in first season 2021, still not great, right? The team's still pretty bad, typical FCC. 2022, things completely turn around. I mean, they jump up 17 spots in the supporter shield, and he's a huge reason why. I mean, 20 plus goal contributions in that season. And since that point, he's literally only gotten better every single season. And this season was the peak of it. 30 plus goal contributions. That's the best season he's had in his career. Better than even that one, better than 2023 FC Cincinnati, better than 2018 DC United. It is like I will say it. Actually, I don't think I should say that yet because I think that's a later point. So let me not
Oh,
jump
look at
around.
you. Look at
I know,
you.
improving. His legacy should be nothing but incredible for this team. I mean, he helped them win a supporter shield. Like that,
I thought we don't care about the supporter shield. Are we changing our vibe now? What's going on?
if you told me that 2021 FC Cincinnati was going to win anything at all in the next 3 years other than a wooden spoon, I would think you were high on drugs. But yeah, I mean, his legacy should be like immaculate for this team. And I understand things are not ending the way that I'm sure people were hoping for, but you cannot just erase all of the production and complete turnaround that he helped make for this team.
I mean, you could, right? Like, what do you get? Like three playoff wins, a plate to eat dinner off of one day.
He got a plate because he was cooking.
Nice, good. No, let's be real about this. He is going to go down as one of, if not the greatest player in FCC's very short MLS history.
I would
Um,
say he is right now. I would
oh
say
yeah,
he's
if
FCC's
you
greatest
think
ever player.
yeah, if you think FCC Mount Rushmore, right? Like we go back and redo Mount Rushmore. He's first name, first name, first ballot. Like there's
He's all four
no
spots on the Rushmore.
he is he's all
It's
four
just four
spots.
different facial expressions from Lucci or Lucho.
Yeah, if you're like, it was like, oh, like build the statue, right? There's only one person who that would fit for FC Cincinnati, and that's Luciano Acosta, right? Like you mentioned, joining up in 2021 after the team won two straight wooden spoons. He didn't do much better in his first season, mainly because of the players around him, and he actually has a wooden spoon to his name. He's got a plate and a spoon. We need something like a fork or a knife, and he'll be good to go. But then 2 years later, he had them winning the Supporter Shield on the back of an MVP caliber campaign, which he put up 35 goal contributions in 44 games. They made a really deep U.S. Open Cup run. They lost in the semifinals of the playoffs. MLS is a league of parity, but like you mentioned, not a single soul believed that it was realistic, given the talent on the roster, that they were going to do anything within the short time period that they had that turnaround. And that's all because Luciano Acosta took it to another level. His only problem is that he every once in a while he would just switch off and just take games off, and usually that coincided with me captaining him on my fantasy team. So instant demotion in the level for me. I can't back him as like an MLS goat because he ruined multiple MLS fantasy weeks for me. But no, for real, he had three straight seasons of 20 plus goal contributions in MLS league play alone. He had 15 in his first season. He was a consistent source of attacking excitement. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that he's been their best player in their entire MLS era. I don't think that's an exaggeration at all.
Not even close. Like there's not even a debate.
No, I mean,
No,
Jurgen
no.
Locadia probably
All
has
right,
has
fair.
something there. Um, well, here's the deal, right? Best player ever, 100%. Like we are both in agreement there. Should FCC try and keep him? Like he's saying he wants out. Should they try and fight to try and keep him around and convince him to stay?
I feel like when teams try to do this, it just doesn't end well. Like it just I feel like it sours the legacy. I feel like you don't get the best out of the player. It's like with Minnesota and Reynoso, right? Like it wasn't like this season was the first time that he was causing issues about like being here, and it just didn't go well. Like they should have just cut ties like originally when it happened. So I feel like they should take that as a lesson and try to capitalize as much as they can off of selling him now. That's just my opinion, though. I mean, I'm sure FCC fans want to see him for longer, and I totally agree. I'd like to see because I don't think he would likely stay in the league. I think he'd probably leave the league, but I'd like to see him stay in the league. I think he's super talented. I just don't think it would end well for his FCC legacy, for maybe even his MLS legacy if things deteriorate because he's just not really caring to be on the field.
Little spoiler, but Sporting KC keeps saying that they're going hard for a designated player number 10.
I
So, you
hear
know,
there's one available in Cincinnati,
that's
Ohio.
crazy, isn't it? Um, and we can offer you $5 gam.
We'll offer you Tim Melia, Graham Zusi, because they're still on the roster probably.
No, I agree with you. I think as great as he's been, and as much as we joked about it before, he actually does have this tendency to switch off in games that he's playing poorly in or he's not interested in, or like you see it very visibly. Like he won't, complete a dribble, for example, right? He'll get stopped and he just puts his hands up. He's like, oh, we got whatever. And there are other times where he'll fight and win the ball back and continue to play, right? But if you fight to bring him back and he's not 100% committed to the badge and what you guys are trying to do, the number of games in which he switches off like that will increase significantly. And you're going to see a downtick in his production, right? And I don't think you want to take all the stuff that we just talked about in his legacy, right? And you don't want to talk about how he's the greatest player ever and he's done all this work for them and then tarnish it by bringing him back and giving him an Aaron Rodgers-esque run out with the Jets of being the worst, the worst version of himself for 2 years where he doesn't want to be there. Yeah, we're doing a ton of Jets references in this one. Get used to it.
Oh boy, I'm
Um,
so excited.
um, you don't want to tarnish it that way. You want him to go out on a high so people can remember him properly. And here's the deal: he's 30 years old. You paid a little under 3 mil for him. You can at least double that now. I mean, he's back to back MVP finalist. One of them he won. Yes, he's about to hit. Everybody get ready. Connor's going to lose his mind. He's about to hit the wrong side of 30. Right? We know that. We know that. We know that he's about to hit there. Sell him off. Reinvest. Right?
Well, not to mention, like, I think FCC, and I wanted to mention this point before, and I forgot to do it, but as much as Lucci was a huge part of the turnaround, the front office was also a huge part as well. Like they started making a lot smarter investments, and I think they've made a lot of smart moves over the last few years. But I feel like one place that they've really dropped the ball in is at striker to like help Lucci in the or Lucho in the attack. And they had Brandon Vasquez, they had Brenner, sold both of them for good money, tried to bring in Bupenza. That was a disaster. And then what was the other backup plan?
Kevin
20-year
Kelsey.
old Kevin Kelsey? Is it
Yeah.
Corey Baird? Like, give this man a little bit of help up top. I mean, he can only do so much by himself, but I imagine that's got to be a little bit frustrating from his perspective to be like, all right, well, I'm in the prime of my career right now, and you're not exactly like really trying to help me in the attack in terms of like us taking that next step to get a cup. Because, like you said, he's got the spoon, he's got the plate. What's he going to drink out of? He needs a cup.
I'm sitting here saying we need a fork, we need a knife. Like there isn't a cup literally sitting right there. God,
I
that's
mean, he needs
that's
a
poor
fork
on
and a
me.
knife too, unless he's
Yeah,
just having soup on a plate, though. That's kind of weird.
that's poor on me. Well, you can cut things with a spoon too. So,
You could. That's
um,
true.
all right. Well, here's the deal. Let's assume that they are not going to try and bring him back. Can he be replaced? Is there a way to replace his space that he's going to leave?
No, I mean, you're not going to replace him, but FCC is pretty ambitious from what we've seen in recent transfer windows. They're willing to spend money. I think they can bring someone in who can be similarly successful as Lucho has been, but I don't think they're going to be able to replace him exactly. You may have to change up a little bit of how you play, but I do like I don't think FCC is completely screwed. Like I think their front office has shown that they're willing and strong enough to take the necessary steps if Lucho does leave.
Man, well, this was not a fun start. I was hoping you would be like, yeah, it's easy to replace him. There are tons of people you can buy for $10 million. And then I'd say, no, you're stupid because that's not easy. Um, right? Because individually at this day in the football transfer market insanity where players are getting billion-dollar release clauses and stuff, it's going to be hard to find the level of contribution that he had and replace it for the price that you're probably going to get for him, right? Yes, you can influx money into your account and say, okay, I'm going to give you extra money to spend or whatever. But if you're looking just for a like for like sell him for six, buy another guy for six, it's going to be difficult to find somebody who can hit MVP numbers 3 years in a row. That being said, it doesn't mean you can't go out and find two or three guys who combined impact matches what Luciano Acosta did, right? Will you get another player who's in the MVP running for 3 years in a row? Probably not. Can you moneyball your way to MLS success? Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. And guess what? We find a way to do it every year with our statistical team of the year. And we're actually doing Connor doesn't know this yet. We're doing an off-season series where we're going to analyze tons of other leagues and find the right fit for everybody who needs something. So that's Connor and I's off-season project. It's gonna be great.
You know what? If we didn't have 15 other series that are on the list already to do, that would sound like an enjoyable series. But considering there's like 14 others we still have to do as well, I'm not looking forward to that.
We need more days in the week. We need more days in the
Or
week.
just a smaller list.
No, why go smaller? Everything's got to be bigger. It's always about size. Size matters.
All right, Mr. Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas over there.
Well, I'm in South Carolina, so
It's all the same.
feels like it. Um, that is pretty much all that I've got. You want to add anything else for FCC?